And then you get your orbital parameters of today's asteroids, which you know will land on the planet. And those you can use as known impactors and compare with all the other asteroids in the solar system.
Can simulations and AI, can those things fill in the gaps where perhaps telescopes and other imaging tools can't?
Absolutely. Since the observations get more complex, the physics gets more complex. And if the physics get more complex, the mathematics becomes more complex. And at some point, you can't solve your problems analytically anymore. And then this is where the computer comes in. Now we have this trained neural network. We have a way of calculating in a fraction of a second whether or not an asteroid is potentially dangerous or not, and therefore deserves more attention or more time to spend on for really finding out if it is dangerous.
When it comes to hunting asteroids, time is critical.
What we can do about a potentially hazardous object depends a great deal on what we know about it and how much time we have before the encounter. We'd really like to find them when they're decades away, because the more time you have, the more options you have, and the less energy it takes to move an object aside.
It also means we might not have to resort to launching a nuclear warhead at an asteroid. Recently, pretty much our only choice.
That's an option of last resort, in my opinion, yes. We have lots of options available. You can just simply bump into the object and just nudge it out of the way. That's one possibility, and that's kind of, in a way, sort of the simplest thing to think about, just nudging it off its path a little bit with, a massive object, a spacecraft, let's say. It's just kind of like bowling, if you will. If you have a long time or a long stretch of runway in the lane, just a very small twist on the bowling ball will make a big change in where it ultimately ends up. Another option would be something where you take a very big, massive spacecraft and you park it next to the object and you use the force of gravity as a towing rig. That takes longer though, and you need to be able to send a pretty massive spacecraft, and it obviously depends a lot on how big the asteroid is. Other options start to get more and more complicated, and they range from painting one side of the object a white color and painting the other side dark, and then letting the pressure of light sort of perturb its orbit.
In a departure from the lab and computer simulations, NASA has real plans to rehearse kinetic impact deflection. In 2021, the agency will launch DART, the Double Asteroid Redirection Test mission, which will intercept a 160-meter asteroid in 2022. Better to practice now before we have to deal with an actual threat. In the meantime, discovering asteroids is our best bet. Thousands of scientists and astronomers around the world make up an informal network that survey the heavens. But that may not be enough. NASA wants more resources to map our solar system and better technology.
We need to ramp up our network of sensors, and also we need to just continue to strengthen our network of international observers so that we can get follow-up, because we find these objects when they're distributed all over the night sky.
Once we get more observations, we get better data, we can make better predictions.
If you look at the big impactors we have had in the last, let's say, 20 years or maybe 30 years, 50 years, most of them we haven't seen coming. So the real danger, I think, comes from the objects we don't know about and not from the objects we do know about.
This particular natural disaster, like a lot of natural disasters and like climate change, is a problem of the global commons. So the thing that we risk collectively is that it sort of then becomes nobody's problem. Nobody takes ownership over it. The asteroids are all over the sky. They just truly cross boundaries and borders with a second's notice.
I kind of imagine in the future, maybe lots of small satellites around the Earth that are always going and looking outward. I mean, I think it's something worth investing in. It's our existence at stake, right?